Anyway, hey guys, welcome to today's video. In today's video, we are going to upgrade the subwoofer from the M140i. Basically subwoofers, because there are two under the seat. And as you can see, we got this nice Audison, upgrade. I just picked something, did some research. They had a discount on Amazon, and they look nice, let me switch. So yeah, I got this little upgrade, and that's basically going in. I don't have that much information on them. I'm not a big audiophile, but I guess they're better than the stock ones, because you only see one speaker, and you may think like, why is that? Well, I'm that big of an idiot. Back in the day, I ordered them thinking I ordered a set. Guess I didn't. So, like last 2 weeks ago, I ordered one, and yeah, it was only one. So I installed one in the M140i, and I learned from that experience, and actually it made me able to make this video a lot better, because now I'm going to install the second one, and I know how to do the installation. I learned from a few little errors. And now I can show you better how to install these underbody underseat subwoofers, because it's not that hard of a job, but the seat really sits in, it's in its way. It's not fun, and it's so windy. Like, look at this. Why? Fucking hell. Anyway, so yeah, so we're gonna do that upgrade soon, and I'm gonna show you how to do it. I hope it doesn't suck, because I'm not great in tutorials, but like I said, it does suck a little bit to install, because you can remove the seat, but I'm really not into doing that, because it takes a lot of effort. It's heavy. I have the electric seats, so I'm not really planning on removing that, because I can scratch something easily, because they're so heavy. You really need two persons or a strong one if you really want to remove the seat from the car. But you can just go with just pushing the seat backwards, and then you can still access everything. But anyway, maybe we should just quit chatting and get the tools that we need and start modifying. So the tools that you need they're actually very decent. So you need a T50. I have it in like this because I don't have a piece in a T50 form. You need a T20, a T10, and a 10mm socket, then a little wrench, and a small flathead screwdriver. Those really are the only tools that you need. Now, another thing that you want to do is, let's get this sorted away. Another thing that you gotta do is remove the battery. Not really remove the battery, but disconnect the battery from the car. But the thing is, something that I learned last week, is that you actually, if you have electric seats like I do, if you have manual seats, it doesn't really matter, but if you have electric seats like I do, you actually need to keep the battery plugged until you actually remove the bolts, because you can access the front ones easily, but you have to put the seat all the way to the back, and then you can't access the rear ones. So then you need to, like I said, put the seat to the front again. So it's really, it's not that handy. So you need to keep the battery connected so you can switch seats, and then when all four bolts are loose, then you can go and disconnect the battery. But anyway, that's the first thing that we're gonna do. Remove this bolt and that bolt. I'm gonna do it off screen, because with one hand it's really stupid, but you can easily see what I want to do. And then we're gonna get a vacuum cleaner out, because that one is a little bit dirty. Anyway, let's go. So now that we have removed these front bolts, we remove the seat up to the front. Yeah, it's gonna take a while. As much to the front as you can. I'm also gonna get this one. You can't do it at the same time apparently. So who has such small legs? I really wonder why you can go to the front that much. Anyway, also gonna go with this one, because otherwise the back is actually in a way of getting everything removed. Okay, that's about it. So now we remove the rear ones, and now you can access these very easily. So we're gonna remove them real quick. Okay, so now we have removed all 4 bolts, as you can see. And now you can really simply just pull back the seat like this. Don't disconnect the yellow piece, because then you'll get an airbag fault. If you are to remove the seat before, if you are to remove the seat because you think it's still handier, because it really is though, but you still want to do it, disconnect the battery before you unplug it, then you won't get the airbag fault. Otherwise, you're screwed. Anyway, now we're going to remove these 4 bolts. But like I said, I'm gonna get my vacuum cleaner first and clean up this mess a little bit. And maybe I shouldn't pull that hard on the wire. But yeah, we're gonna get this cleaned first, and then we'll have great access to the bolts. Okay, so now we got everything vacuum cleaned, and then you really just remove this cover. Like I said, lose these 4 screws. Let's do that real quick. And as you can see, we have the subwoofer over here. That's the one that we're gonna replace. And I actually made a little mistake the first time, because you can see little screws over there, and I actually removed these while sitting here. That's not necessary, because I'm gonna show you something real quickly. But first, let me remove some carpet. So you actually only have to remove these 2 bolts, and you don't have to remove these little ones while standing here in a very not so comfortable way. You also have to remove this little plug here. Just pull it out, the black one there in the middle, and then you disconnect. Let me see. You disconnect the little plug over here, and that's where you need the small screwdriver. But before we're going to remove that plug, I'm going to disconnect the battery. So with disconnecting the battery, you unscrew that one, you pull it out, and then I have a little bill that I just stuck in between so they don't make contact, and the car now has no power. Very important, don't shut your boot, because you won't be able to do it again. You won't be able to open it again, because that's electronic. So yeah. Oh man, the wind, can we slow down a little bit with the wind, please? Thank you very much. Anyway, let's clean the lens a little bit. Here we go. This weather ain't normal. So, we removed the cover, disconnected the battery. Now, we're going to remove these 2 bolts. It's also a 10mm, by the way, so that's very handy. And then we, like I said before, remove that black connector piece, remove the plug with a small screwdriver, and then we can yank this sucker out. Okay, so we removed everything. So now the speaker is actually loose and ready to be removed. But I'm gonna do that, off camera, because it's just pulling it out, but it's really not that handy. Supporting the weight of the seat with my head, and it actually kind of hurts. So yeah. So now is the part, come on cat, 17 years old and still can't get enough attention and whatever. But for 17 years old, he looks kind of good, doesn't he? I'm a little bit, yeah, you're my big fella, yeah, I love you. Anyway, so we got the subwoofer out, very important thing. And now we are going to replace it with this one. But first you gotta do a few steps over here. So first of all, with your 10mm hex, you remove these 4 screws over here, here and there. And then you're gonna pry with your little screwdriver, and you're gonna pry it loose, because there's actually like a little seal over here, and it's like a hardish seal, so it won't break when you remove this. And then there comes a new seal with this one, which I'm gonna put on top of the other seal, so you have 0 vibrations and enough isolation. So let's remove these 4 screws and then replace it. So what you want to do is actually, you see those tabs here with your flat screwdriver, you want to push on it like this, and then you can pry it all out. And as you can see, there's like a little rubber-ish sticky sealing. Focus, thank you. And that's actually, sometimes it's stickier when they're connected, but yeah, I mean, here's the old subwoofer. Now this kit from Audison actually comes with some extra isolation. Last time I experiment a little bit with like what fits nice and whatever. So actually they come with 2 pieces, and I found out that one is like more than enough. It's like just a perfect tight fit, if it makes sense. So I'll just like do 1. 2 is too much. So like 1, and then now we can actually install the speaker. Okay, so now it sits a little bit higher because of the isolation, but when you start to screw them in, it will sit more tightly and push in a little bit better. So that's what we're gonna do right now. But as you can see, the fitment is absolutely spot on. It's just perfect, as if it's OEM plus. So yeah, really great. And now we're going to put screws back in, and then we're going back to the car and put everything back together the same way that we tear it apart. Okay, so we have the new piece installed and tightened up. As you can see, the fitment with the extra isolation is pretty damn good. So now we get the sucker back up in the car. First we gotta see if she works, but I have no doubts about that. And yeah, we can enjoy a little bit extra bass in the car. So yeah, as you can see, we're in-house right now. So basically how to install the speaker is doing everything in the opposite way as how I removed it. I actually wanted to film that, but I snapped the bolt, and it was a little bit of cursing happened, so it was not really usable footage. But I think you guys know how to install everything back into the car after you removed everything. So yeah, that shouldn't be really a big deal. But anyway, so yeah, I tested the new subwoofers out finally, and I tried to film it, but you really don't hear any difference on camera. So there is really no point in showing you a clip with the before and then showing you a clip with an after, because the camera doesn't pick up the sound. You're also listening this through probably a phone or a tablet, some people a TV, and this is filmed with just a phone, so it doesn't pick up that much detail. So there was no point in actually doing a comparison, because like I said, you'll hear no difference. So I'll talk about my experience, and I can tell you that in some songs where the bass and everything is not that happening, you don't notice that big of a difference. But some songs actually have like deep bass, and they really go through your chest. You do notice, I would say, a pretty decent pretty decent difference. So you feel the bass more actually up in your back and your ass, and it gives a more feeling and more power to the song. Also, for the price that you paid, I think I paid like €360 and did the install myself. You don't need any additional hardware. I think it's a fair deal. Upgrading the door speakers probably will give you a little bit more effect, but I'm gonna do the whole package, so I started with those, because I actually also want to upgrade the tweeters to the Harman Kardon ones, but then I'm just gonna do everything at once. But now for those, I just installed that. If you get like an amp, you will actually have more improvement in the sound anyway, because now I'm using the stock amp, and they're not really made for aftermarket parts, but it does make a little bit of a difference anyway. So with an aftermarket amp, you'll probably have a bigger difference, but with this setup now you have an improvement of the sound quality. So yeah, it's there, it's fun, and the price it's okay. Then the installation, I would say, is doable, except the seats, if you don't remove them, really get in your way, and don't get something for your knees, and don't do it on a hot day. That's all I can say. Anyway guys, thanks for watching. This was it for today's video, and I'll see you very soon. Goodbye.